Hey St. Catharines, it's Mayor Matt Cisco. Welcome back to yet another episode of talkSTC. Excited to be here with you right at the very beginning of September. And before I get too far into this episode, I want to wish a big, hearty congratulations to all the teachers, all the students, and especially all the parents, because I know how excited you are that the school year has returned. I'm wishing everybody a great start to the year. This is the time in a school year where everybody's excited, everybody's looking forward to the next day. So I hope that first week has gone well for everybody. I hope families are back into the routines and everybody is excited still about the brand new school year. I also want to send a quick welcome back to all of our Brock and Niagara College students. Welcome back to the community. Had the opportunity with the welcome wagon during the first week of classes for Brock. It's great to see the student activity back in the community. Very excited to see all those folks as summer comes sadly to a close. Even though those hot temperatures are still here, getting into the swing of things as fall announces itself. A couple of pieces that I want to make sure people are aware of. Celebration of Nations at the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre was September 8th to 10th. Fantastic weekend gathering to celebrate Indigenous arts, culture, and tradition. So very exciting to see the Celebration of Nations continuing in our community. And of course, as we mentioned in the last month's episode, Niagara Grape and Wine Festival. We are here, it is upon us. Lots going on across the city, all the wineries across the city and the region. Events are taking place in Montebello Park from the 15th to the 17th and the 22nd to the 24th. So if you get a chance, head down to the park for that. Pied Piper Parade is coming up on September the 16th. And then on the 23rd, we have the Grand Parade. Can't wait for that. And super enjoyable and something I'm looking forward to, the Mayor's Grape Stomp. That's going to happen on the 17th in Montebello Park, and I can't wait for that. I've been warned by a number of different people, be very careful, because apparently the grapes, they burn when you stomp on them, so I'm looking forward to experiencing that. We also have the United Way Fire Truck Pull. That's September the 12th. We have the Terry Fox Run, September the 17th. So there's lots going on in the city of St. Catharines. Check out stcatharines.ca for any details you may need about any of those events. On today's episode, we've got two amazing guests. The first one is Carly Anderson, the culture supervisor with the city. She's going to join me to discuss the upcoming Culture Day Festival, a month-long slate of events taking place across our city and all of Ontario. And then after that, I'll be joined by Amanda DiZio, the community engagement coordinator with Gillian's Place. And we're going to talk about the important work that Gillian's Place is doing in our community and also the upcoming Walk a Mile in Her Shoes event, which is taking place next month in October. But my first guest is Carly Anderson, Culture Supervisor for the City of St. Catharines. Carly, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So, a little bit of a bio. You oversee the Cultural Services Office, the Cultural Investment Program, the Public Art Collection, the Culture Plan Update, and you are within the Community, Recreation, and Culture Services Department of the city.
You got it.
That's a lot.
A lot, yeah.
It's a lot of exciting stuff, but it's a lot.
It's not just me, though. I've got two incredible staff that join me in programming and doing all the hard work.
That's fantastic. Now, you have a strong commitment to advancing the cultural sector in our city with a focus on community collaboration, and that includes active involvement of local arts organizations and artists in Culture Days. And previously, you were the Deputy Chief Librarian at the Milton Public Library, the Manager of Cultural Services at the Town of Milton, and you have lots of experience developing community arts and culture programming. Accurate?
Accurate.
Right on.
Thanks.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So, before we get into talking about Culture Days, let's talk about your role at the city. So you mentioned there's two staff. What does the role of cultural supervisor look like?
It's day-to-day changes, but I have a great team of two, and we take care of the public art collection, which includes all the monuments and memorials, like the cenotaphs outside, as well as any new art exhibitions or installations. We recently unveiled a beautiful new work by Cheyenne at Bogart Park, beautiful piece that just went up. We also oversee the St. Catharines Cultural Investment Program, a granting program in the city, as well as community building initiatives, just like Culture Days.
That's phenomenal. And I know the public art piece, we've worked really hard over the last, I've been on council in one shape or another for the last 13 years. We've worked hard to improve the public art space.
Absolutely. We've got beautiful spaces.
Yeah, and it's the Bogart Park, you mentioned that one. We were very lucky to be able to open that up a couple weeks ago, and the reaction from the community has been very positive. It was great to integrate the Niagara Regional Native Center. That's something we're trying to do more of, to showcase the Indigenous art and culture that exists in Niagara. Has been here for a very, very long time. So it's not a small task that you have.
No, but it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So September 22nd to October 15th, full slate of programs that are taking place as a part of 2023 Culture Days Festival. What's the mission? What's the mission of Culture Days?
It's a great question. So Culture Days is a nationwide initiative. Thousands of communities and First Nations participate every year, providing thousands of activities for local communities to participate in. But the goal of it is to provide barrier-free access to arts and culture activities in the community where you live. So that's the goal of Culture Days, is to provide lots of opportunities for the community to be hands-on with arts and culture and get up close and personal, but no cost associated with it.
So what's the history behind this? Like, how did Culture Days begin?
It's a great question. Culture Days began about a decade ago. It was created by local arts organizations. Major institutions like the Canadian Opera Company came together to provide free access to arts and culture opportunities. And they wanted to do so because by providing free access, it lets people know what's going on in their community with the hope that they'll participate year long, whether that's participating in attending a free concert, signing up for an art class, attending an exhibition that's happening in the community, or getting involved by volunteering. So that's the goal. Is Culture Days is free for 3 weeks in the fall, but we hope that people will enjoy that experience so much that they'll get engaged in their community in different ways. That's the goal.
So did it begin the idea of showcasing all the things that are available, or how has it evolved over the years?
That's exactly it. It definitely began as providing free access and behind the scenes glimpses into what creators are doing in one's community, and then it grew to be what it is today, which is hundreds of communities across the nation, coast to coast, participating and offering free activities. So it started very small and has now grown to be quite a large event. And there's thousands of activities that you can participate in now.
That's awesome. So within St. Catharines, who's participating in this? What sort of community groups, cultural organizations, who's getting involved in sort of opening their doors and showcasing what they have?
So we've got several key partners. We've got the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre, of course. We've got the St. Catharines Public Library, the Brown Homestead, and the Marilyn I. Walker School of Fine and Performing Arts at Brock University. So 4 key partners are opening their doors. They're providing free access to their spaces and exciting arts and culture activities. But beyond that, we also have about a dozen local artists who are participating, and they're offering free arts and culture activities, everything from printmaking to wet felting to puppetry, designing your own puppet and learning how to be a puppeteer with professional puppeteers. So there's a broad cross-section of activities that you can get involved in.
I'm going to fully admit I have no idea what wet felting is, but it sounds enjoyable. I will say all the venues and the key partners that you mentioned are great. I had the opportunity to head out to Brown Homestead, and the work that they're doing out there is phenomenal. So a special shout out to the folks at Brown Homestead, because you're doing great work, and it's awesome that they're one of our partners as a part of the Culture Days. So what sort of activities can people expect? Wet felting aside, which is phenomenal, what sort of events and activities can people get involved with?
Well, touching on the Brown Homestead, they're hosting an open house on the afternoon of September 22nd, which is kicking off Culture Day. So if you want to get up close and personal, see the facility, walk their grounds, their staff are absolutely incredible. They know so much about the history of that property, which is the oldest residence in St. Catharines.
Yep.
And they're doing some really cool restoration work. So they'll take you around, talk to you about it. And then later on, they're going to be hosting an activity at the St. Catharines Public Library where you can actually try your hand at stenciling based on historical stencils that they've actually found and are using in the Brown Homestead as they're doing their the reconstruction and the refurbishment of the space.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Do you have any, what's your key? What are you going to be going to? What's the thing you're looking forward to the most this year?
I'm looking forward to the most coincides with back to school. On October 6th, which is a PA Day in the Niagara region, St. Catharines Public Library is hosting a whole slew of activities at their facility all day long. So if you have a niece, nephew like I do, I'll be bringing them to participate in some really cool activities, including splatter art, and they can get messy and learn with artists and participate in some free activities, and hopefully they can take a book out at the same time.
Nice. Splatter art definitely sounds like something I, as a parent, would not want to occur in my home, so it's good that someone is offering a space for that. So what makes St. Catharines Culture Days unique? In comparison, you said hundreds of communities, First Nations across the country. What makes the St. Catharines experience different from others?
We are one of the anchors of Culture Days across Ontario. So we've been identified as a lead partner in the Ontario Culture Days Festival because we host so many amazing activities annually. Last year, we actually ranked #1 for the number of digital activities presented. And this year, we hope to rank really highly in the number of in-person activities now that we're returning to in-person activities. So we have so many activities going on. Currently, we have about 45 registered, and we're adding more every day. And we just have a really great arts community here who is really engaged and really wants to share their craft with the community.
So I will say, and this is one of my experiences, 13 years, different places on council, but I think the city has done a really good job of placing focus on the arts and culture and the arts and cultural sector. The Creative Cluster Master Plan, which now is 15 years old, but really sort of set the path for the city of St. Catharines. And watching that sector build out and continue to get bigger and stronger and add different pieces, different aspects. It's been really amazing to watch. And I know, Culture Days has been a piece of what we do for a long time, but it's great to see the growth. If people wanted to get involved, either as a participant, they want to organize something, who are they contacting? Where are they headed?
So they can head right to culturedays.ca and they can register an activity. So if they have something that they'd like to share with the community, they can also reach out to us at the Culture Office, and our information is available on the St. Catharines website. But anyone can put together an activity. So if you're a hobbyist or you are an actor and you want to share something, you can as part of Culture Days. All you need to ensure is that it's free and there's access, and our team's here to help you help support you make it the best event possible, whether that's supporting with administration, registration if required, and making sure we market it so that you get the best possible turnout. But you can log on to culturedays.ca and you can learn all about how to be an activity presenter. And if it's too late for you this year, because we are kicking off the festival so soon, next year we'll be back at it. So we usually release information in the spring, and people can visit the St. Catharines website and learn about how to get involved with Culture Days.
Awesome. Now, switching gears just briefly, last question, but you mentioned the St. Catharines Cultural Investment Program earlier, and I know that helps support Culture Days. Can you share a little bit about the program and what sort of impact it has on the offerings for Culture Days?
We're really lucky in that we offer a micro grant program for Culture Days through the St. Catharines Cultural Investment Program. So if you are looking to host an activity, we provide grants between $500 and $1,000, which covers the cost of your materials and your time to present, and you can apply through the program. A lot of other communities don't necessarily fund their artists in presenting activities, so that makes us unique as well, and we strongly encourage the community to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to guide them in the process of accessing funding to present their activities and events for Culture Days. We release that information on our website in the spring annually, and we fund it into the summer in time for the festival in the fall.
So information about SCIP grants, they can go to stcatharines.ca. Information about Culture Days, culturedays.ca.
Yep.
Carly, thank you so much for coming in today and for chatting about this. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun time in the city of St. Catharines as always, and I appreciate you taking a few minutes today.
Thank you so much.
Right after the break, we are going to be chatting about Gillian's place and walk a mile in her shoes. I will see you back here on talkSTC in just a few minutes. Welcome back, St. Catharines. I am up next, a new guest, Amanda DiZio. She is our community engagement coordinator with Gillian's Place. She's been there for 5 years as a frontline counselor. She's also worked in the Child and Youth Department, the Outreach Department, and now in the Development Department in both North and West Niagara. And she's got an honors bachelor degree in social work from Laurentian University. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get into your role specifically, let's talk a little bit about the work that Gillian's Place does in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So since 1977, Gillian's Place has been the expertise in education and gender-based violence support. So we provide non-emergent and emergent services to those experiencing gender-based violence in Niagara. Specifically, we support those in North Niagara and West Niagara as well.
That's amazing. Now, a lot of people view Gillian's Place as just a women's shelter. Mm-hmm. Expand a little bit on that, because I think people don't understand how massive the place is that Gillian's Place occupies in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gillian's Place, we support those who experience gender-based violence. So that's women, children, sexually and gender diverse individuals. So really anyone who's experiencing gender-based violence, really just looking towards helping support those that are most vulnerable in our community as well.
That's phenomenal. All right. So you've been with Gillian's Place for 5 years, but your role's evolved over that time. You started off as a relief counselor, you've got frontline experience. Tell me how the role has evolved over time.
Yeah, absolutely. So working as a frontline counselor and, being in multiple departments at Gillian's Place, it's really evolved in way of looking at how the support is needed and how do we sustain these supports. So working frontline with the, survivors of gender-based violence, it's very impactful, ensuring they're safe, ensuring that they have supports in place where it's needed, but also looking at the roles of, how can we sustain these important programs and services that are really life-saving and life-changing. So really looking at those ways of how, those who are in the front lines, how they can support, but also looking at that broader picture. So looking at sustaining those supports and programs and services.
So 5 years, you've seen the need for programs grow. Talk a little bit about what that growth has looked like and what steps you're having to take now to try and deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of, the growth and what it's looked like, unfortunately, we've seen such heartbreaking and distressing increases in need for support. The pandemic, unfortunately, really exacerbated those issues that those were experiencing. And not only just in gender-based violence, but really the different dynamics that really put barriers up to those leaving and, really finding safety and support. Mental health, unfortunately, with the pandemic, have really took a plummet for many people, including the gas prices. We're looking at inflation, grocery prices. So really different parts that are making it more difficult to leave. And for those who are abusive, really adding into more, levels of control, right? So whether that's financial, measures designed to keep us safe at home during the pandemic often really was a tool for abusers to keep people at home and, really limit that access to support. So really seeing that expansion in need, it's been huge. So, since March 2020, we've seen a 91% increase in need for our services, and that's our outreach services. So for those who are safe in the community, but need that support as well.
It's terrifying to think about the expansion of that need. Part of that expansion in need means an expansion in facilities. So I was lucky enough to be at the groundbreaking of the new portion of the facility, the capital campaign kickoff. Can you talk a little bit about what that capital campaign is going towards and how it fits into the services you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's our Build a Safer Future capital campaign. So like I said, we've seen such increases in need that our current shelter is just not equipped to help support those that are really needing it and those who are most vulnerable. So looking at adding extra bedrooms, client wellness space, staff wellness space as well. We know that staff, it's really important to ensure that we're, taking care of ourselves when working with such difficult situations. So really looking at expanding that, but really our outreach services as well. We're looking at adding a 3,000 square foot expansion onto our shelter currently to ensure that those who need outreach services, so that's legal support, outreach counseling, housing, transitional housing support, have the spaces and the service that they deserve. So ensuring that we have full wraparound support for our clients and those that need it most.
So an important campaign on the horizon
Absolutely.
for that capital build. Now, Walk a Mile in Her Shoes is coming up. I'm blessed to be an ambassador this year, and I appreciate that opportunity. October 14th. Now, Walk a Mile is not dealing with any of the capital. This is just strictly, raising the funds that are required to offer the operational services in a year, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So, unfortunately, being a non-for-profit, to sustain our services, we do have to fundraise most of our capital to ensure that they are available. So these are life savings, programs and services that we have. It's our emergency shelter, 34 beds. It's our legal advocate and support to make sure that those who are going through the family law system, the criminal court system, have that support that is needed. It helps funds our second stage family program. So we actually have 13 units in Niagara that help support families that need safety after leaving shelter. So just to reduce that risk of them going back to unsafe and precarious situations. So all of these programs are really impacted and needed to be sustained with fundraisers and our signature fundraisers such as Walk a Mile in Her Shoes.
Yeah.
We also have our violence prevention and education program. We just launched our allied agency program. So really looking at expanding on the capacity and compassion on our community. So working with different organizations, community stakeholders, just to expand the understanding of gender-based violence, how to support a survivor, and what Gillian's Place does.
So from a fundraising perspective and an operational perspective, Walk a Mile is obviously very important. But I mean, for male and male identifying allies like myself, being an ambassador to the event, why is that important? Why does Gillian's Place feel that male and male identifying allies need to be out there in this sort of capacity?
Well, often, those who are most vulnerable and experience, gender-based violence in those issues in our community are often the ones who have to put the work in to end it. So we need to call male allies, male identifying allies, really calling them in rather than calling them out on why is violence happening in such great numbers to women. How can we and them, as those who hold positions of power relative in society, how can they put the work in to help end gender-based violence? So really showing that solidarity and that support to ensure that these services are here for those that need it, but also showing that awareness and understanding that it's not just an issue for those experiencing it, but it's for everybody. It's a community.
So with Walk a Mile, how has the event grown over the years? I had the opportunity, I had a great conversation with Tim Dennis, who I know has been an ambassador in previous years, and he talked about the growth. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, it used to be in downtown St. Catharines. Yeah. It shifted to the Penn Center. I know, and I always like to do this. Shout out to my friends, the Stiletto Stallions, the team that I started with when I first got involved with Walk a Mile. But how has the growth of the event impacted the facility? And, from a perspective of somebody who works with Gillian's Place, how does it feel to see that it is growing and more allies coming out year over year, I think? Like, how does that change the perspective within the organization?
Well, it definitely gives us some hope, right? We're in our 17th year of hosting Walk a Mile in Her Shoes at the Penn Center. And, since its inception, we've seen the numbers of those who want to support just really grow. And that doesn't only mean that, having the funds towards our operation is essential and needed, because of course we know that we are, operating at a higher level of need right now. But it's really, showing those who are surviving gender-based violence, or those who fell victim in families and loved ones, that, people do care, the community cares, and they're showing up and, stepping out and doing something that's uncomfortable, right? Not everyone likes to walk in heels, and we understand that that's not always, representative of those that we support. So, even straying away from the heel a little bit and really, bringing that inclusivity as well. Walk in what you're comfortable with, just come out and show that solidarity, because it's so important for our community to, really understand how we can all prevent violence and abuse.
Well, I will say I had the opportunity to visit the Crocs store, and they have a Croc chunky wedge. And for these size 13 shoes, I may be looking for something in that sort of comfort.
More practical.
Level, a little bit more practical.
Absolutely.
Exactly. The goal is $125,000 this year. How can people support the event?
Well, so, we definitely want people to come out on event day, but so that includes registering, donating at walkamileinhershoes.ca. The event page, it shows a lot of information, where the money is going, who we support, really how impactful this program is. So, having those coming out on event day is really huge as well. As I mentioned, showing that solidarity, showing that influence towards, the Penn Center and our community, that we're here, we understand it's an issue and we're working our best to end gender-based violence.
Now, my last question for you today. You've been to Walk a Mile a couple of times.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of the Walk a Mile event? I've asked this question of previous participants. Participants generally say the end, because they can take them off.
Yeah.
What's your personal favorite part of the entire event?
I love seeing, families and friends coming out to support those that are walking. I think it's so important to not only, cheer on those that are doing the walk and walking, rather in heels or whatever they're most comfortable in, but really just seeing that understanding and comfort and knowing that we're here all to support. And definitely seeing everybody coming together and enjoying the event day. It's a really fun day. It's family friendly. We have face painting, we have entertainment, music. So it's really just seeing everyone come together for one collective goal, and that's supporting those who are surviving.
Well, Amanda, I appreciate you coming in, sitting down with us. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate the opportunity to be an ambassador. As I think we've both kind of said, it's sad and it's frustrating that the need grows, but there are a lot of allies in the community that want to try and bring an end to gender-based violence. And so I appreciate you coming in and talking about it a little bit today. And I look forward to seeing you at Walk a Mile.
Thank you so much. We're so thankful to have you.
Sincerely appreciate it. Folks, I will see you on the other side of the break in just a moment. St. Catharines, thank you for joining me for another episode of Talk STC. I want to thank Carly Anderson from the city talking about Culture Days, Amanda DiZio with Gillian's Place talking about Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of Talk STC. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.